Okay, this video will be going through questions from the homework on lesson 6, and the question will be 1B. So what's happening is the question says to simplify, state restrictions on the variables. So in math, when we have two fractions, we're not going to divide those two fractions. Every single time you see a divide, you change that to a multiplication, and what you're multiplying by is the reciprocal of the fraction next to the symbol. So this first fraction, I would write it exactly as is. So 8x squared y to the 3 over 9x cubed, and I'm going to put in that invisible 1. Then I'm going to change this division to a multiplication, and if I do that, I could then multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to put that 14y cubed up top, and I'm going to put that negative 15 x squared y to the 1 in the denominator. I have another division symbol, but again, instead of writing division, I'm going to change that to a multiplication sign. And in order to do that, I would have to flip this fraction here. So every time you see a multiple or division sign, change it to a multiplication sign, and then just take the reciprocal of the fraction. Okay, so the reciprocal of that would be negative 6 x to the 1 y to the 4 all over 7x to the 1. Okay, now once you have everything written with multiplication signs, you can literally multiply everything in the top and everything in the bottom. I do like to sort of go through things though and see if I could clean things up. So for example, in this third fraction here, x to the 1 over x to the 1 would simply cancel, right? So I could get rid of that if I wanted to. In here, I could clean up these y's. Y to the 3 over y to the 1, that would clean up. So let's go through, before we multiply everything in the numerators and multiply everything in the denominators, let's go through and see what we could cancel, okay? So the first fraction, let's keep that as 8 over negative 9. But let's simplify the numbers. So y to the 3 over y to the 1, that becomes y squared. And x to the 2 over x to the 3, when you subtract these x's, you get x to the negative 1. So where you would write that, so 2 minus 3 is x to the negative 1. To make that a positive 1, you would write it in the denominator. If you are uncomfortable with having like a negative x right now, I am totally okay if we just for now keep this, right? So if you don't want to deal with that negative right now, just keep this times. Let's keep the 14 and the negative 15 because that's not going to simplify. And let's deal with these y's. Y to the 3 divided by y to the 1, that gives me y squared. And I'm going to have x squared on the bottom. Times again, I've got negative 6 over 7. X to the 1 over x to the 1 would cancel, and I'm left with y to the 4. Now what we could do is we could literally multiply my numerators together and my denominators together. So we're going to do that next. Okay, so on my calculator, I don't know what happened here. I don't have my calculator loaded, so I'm going to type in 8 times 14 times negative 6, and that gives me negative 672 all over negative 9 times negative 15 times 7 is 945. So your book doesn't show you this way. It's totally fine to do it this way, and then we could reduce this fraction at the end. Now let's deal with our x's. I've got x to the 2, and those are my only x's up top. For my y's, I've got 2 plus 2, which is 4, and 4 over here is 8 y's total. In my denominator, I have x to the 3 and x to the 2, so they're being multiplied, so you add the exponents, that would be x to the 5. You need to reduce negative 672 over 945. So if you type that into your calculator and hit math one fraction, that will reduce to negative 32 over 45. Okay, x to the 2 minus or divided by x to the 5, that gives you x to the negative 3. So for now, I'm just going to write it up here. And then I've got y to the 8. So I'm going to put that down. And the only thing I could do is I have to make this x positive, so I'm going to bring it to the numerator. Or sorry, to the denominator. So negative 32, y to the 8 stays up top, and 45 x to the 3 comes to the bottom. Okay, and then from here you would state your non-permissible values. And your non-permissible values, so over here, x can't be 0 and y can't be 0. This non-permissible, same thing, y can't be 0, x can't be 0, y can't be 0. And then whenever you do your flip for division, you also have to take the non-permissibles up top as well. So they're the same things, x and y can't be 0. So the non-permissibles for this are x cannot be 0 and y cannot be 0. Okay.